Hey.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to M Deck. This is where the Queen Mary suites are located. Now we have suites named after very famous people, including Queen Mary herself, Queen Elizabeth, King George of Windsor, the Eisenhower, and a few more. It does not mean that these particular people stayed in these suites, except for one. That is M119, the Winston Churchill suite. Winston Churchill actually stayed on board several times, including 3 times during World War II. Now his room is actually the most popular suite on board. It's checked out almost 95% of the year. Now the reason why I bring that up though, however, is because people from time to time have been known to walk by the Winston Churchill suite and get the smell of fresh cigar smoke. As you've noticed if you've been walking around inside the hotel of Queen Mary and even up on the enclosed upper decks, there's no smoking allowed on board of the ship anymore. So to get this report is just a little odd. Later on, after we're done with the tour, if you get a chance, take a trip by M119 and see if you can't catch Mr. Churchill enjoying one of his many fine cigars. Right this way. The reason why we're going to stop right here is because I like to add in historical pieces about Queen Mary so you know exactly what you're walking around on. Now these staircases you see leading down and leading up are original to our ship. They are known as corkoid or rubeolium. They're a mixture of cork and rubber so the decks do not become as slippery during open sea travels. You would have found the same material inside these hallways, so no, this carpet below you is not original. It would have also been located in the staterooms and all the way up on promenade deck inside the main hall. The main reason why they had it all the way up there is because many times when the ship was out over the open ocean, the waves would get as high as for promenade deck windows. Sometimes even breaching those windows and spilling right out onto the decks. Thankfully for this surface, the guests weren't slipping and sliding around as they were making their way through the Queen. Also, it was much easier cleanup if any one of you were to ever become seasick. All right, this way. Ladies and gentlemen, you are now located on A deck. If you do me a favor and look behind you, you're going to notice this is the longest running continuous deck that we have on board the Queen Mary. It spans almost the entire length of the ship, which is 1,019.5 feet. This hallway you see right here on starboard side, as well as her twin hallway on port side, travel 880 feet continuously without interruption. That 880 feet falls just 13 feet short of the entire length of the Titanic. Queen Mary is almost 200 feet longer than the Titanic. She's also twice as large. Now, the way to measure a ship's size is by overall gross tonnage. Titanic was at about 40,000 tons. The Queen Mary herself, over 81,000 tons. Now, you may notice the bend or bow in her structure that is done purposefully. She was built that way. This is something known as shear to deck. Queen Mary was built without stabilizer fins, so they use shear to deck to help with stability and strength out over the open ocean. So when you pass midship, you'll feel as if you're walking slightly uphill on both sides. You can even feel the incline as you're standing still. You'll also notice the architecture having an angle or a slant to accommodate shear to deck. Right this way. So as you folks come down, just filling around the area, we're going to talk about this photograph you see located right behind the people. Ladies and gentlemen, this picture right here was taken of the Queen Mary on her maiden voyage in May of 1936. This is her arriving at the end right here in New York City. I recently had a gentleman on the tour who said he was about 4 to 5 years old. He was actually on one of these ships right out here watching Queen Mary arrive to New York. A normal trip for Queen Mary was leaving Southampton, England and taking a quick stopover in Cherbourg, France, then moving from there to New York. A one-way trip for Queen Mary was anywhere from 4 to 6 days, so a round trip of roughly 8 to 12. Queen Mary had a top traveling speed of 30.6 knots, equal to about 36 miles per hour. In fact, Queen Mary's top traveling speed still ranks her within the top 5 of cruise ships in the world today. She had enough on board to accommodate anywhere between 2,000 to 3,200 passengers and crew, normally a ratio of 1 crew member for every 3 passengers. There were over 2,100 staterooms available during her sailing days. As of today, about 350 are part of her hotel. When it came to her classing systems and her decks, they did not do them top decks first class, middle decks second, and bottom decks third. They broke it up into sections, what was known as smoothness of ride. So in this bow section right here, from top to bottom, this is where you found third class, because it was the roughest ride on board. So ladies and gentlemen, welcome to third class. Back here in the stern, you actually would have found second class, because this is where they had to deal with the vibrations and hum of the engines as well as propellers all day and all night. First class, all throughout the middle here, because it was the smoothest ride on board. Now in 1936, a first class cabin would have valued you anywhere between $1,100 and $1,300 per trip. Today's prices, that's roughly about $14,000. Or a reasonably priced car. So, right this way. Price is probably the scariest thing on sale. Yes, people treat it like a wishing well. So there used to be 4 of these connected to Queen Mary. This is the only one remaining. Each one was made out of manganese bronze, weighed 35 tons, 18 feet across tip to tip on the fins. However, so delicately balanced that when she was dry docked, you could actually stand off to the side of it and spin it with one hand.
Really?
Yeah. The wires you see hanging down into the water are actually an anti-corrosive device. What they do is they send a small electronic pulse out into the water to keep corrosion off of the actual piece. The white buildup you see is a mineral buildup. It is nothing corrosive.
And I take it people used to throw money in there?
Yes, they still do. They treat it like a wishing well.
Okay.
I don't understand the dollar bills though. I've never seen that in a wishing well, but
Oh, there's dollar bills in there.
to each his own.
Here's a 20.
All right. Good luck. I wouldn't jump in that water if you gave me.
So this is all self-contained area?
Yes, if you look in front of you, you actually see the outside of the Queen Mary. This box was built around the ship, built around the propeller, so you could actually showcase it. Also, that hull, I didn't tell you folks while you're down below. The hull of Queen Mary is only 1 inch thick.
What?
Yeah,
What's
1 inch thick. The hull, that outside part. Yep. Something else to think about when if you ever come back and have to go back down below.
Yeah.
All right, folks, right this way, please.
Self-contained.